Hey everyone, welcome to Viewers, Comments and Questions. Dan here.
Mickey, guten Tag!
Yeah.
Follow the Moskwa down to Gorky Park, listening to the winds.
Sorry, I've got to...
You haven't seen it, have you? Mit Rockmusik spielen!
Ja, das ist gut, ja.
Still loving the Flying V.
Yeah, it's an amazing guitar.
Probably got a copyright strike already. Anyway, auf Wiedersehen. How are we, everyone? Check us out.
That is amazing. This is the commitment to the gag. I just love...
Gag? What gag?
What gag?
No, sorry, there's no gag. There's no gag. This is 100% serious. If there was a gag, though, I would be marveling and commenting and getting you all to appreciate the commitment to it. That's all I'm saying. If there was, although we all know that there's not.
How dare you?
It's just the way Mick rolls.
Das Supercharts ist kaputt. Alright?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Der Supercharts in der Krankenhaus.
Im Krankenhaus?
Ja.
Der Krankenwagen.
Ja. Danke schön auf BV. No. Thanks, BV, for moderating. I think I've just got to check a little audio problem that we've got there.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it's Dan shouting.
It's-
That's the main problem.
Oh, did I shout?
The waves go square.
Okay, let's see if I can get another strike.
Right as well, but anyway.
Nothing bright about me anymore. Those years are gone.
Whatever, it's all fine. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to Das Pedal Show. It's a gag that's been running for weeks, and it's not even really a gag, so I don't even know how funny it is anymore.
It's funny.
Anyway, hello to Experimental Chris, hello to BV, hello to Dave Sandman. Johnny T is on.
Tea.
Scott Pickett is on. Todd Roy is on. Hey Todd, how are
Hey, Todd.
you? FI Ed, good to hear from you, mate. He's been MOTing his car. Scott is on. Brian Barrett is on. Jack Hookings is on. G Barge.
Hello, sir.
How are you, sir? Matthew Mathermon is on. Mathermon.
K Colours on. JD. How lovely. Mr. Todd Roy
The
is
Merc
on.
1950. Dripping Glass.
Mm.
Oh, I wonder if you're a maker of glass things.
Dan Otley. Metronome.
Hey, Dan.
Lovely.
Dan, thanks for your email, by the way. It wasn't my flight time. Dan, bless him, sent me a picture of a flight time he'd picked up on eBay,
Oh.
saying, is this yours? Because it's got a ding on it.
Well spotted.
I know, thanks, Dan.
That's-
And I was like,
yeah,
it wasn't
brilliant.
mine. Mine was a 2Y. Anyway, I've spoken to Yuki and I have put measures in place to acquire a new one.
Ah, lovely. Radio Free Nova says the Gretsch looks nice on you, Dan. It's a lovely Gretsch actually. The wine red, and it's the thinner body than my white one, and it fits nice.
It's the Abbey Road guitar.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of guitars here that we really should have plugged in by now, but we haven't. So we'll do that. We'll do that in due course. Hello from Catalonia, says Maris Loom. Frankie Holt, James Blessed. Lots of lovely friends on. Teleblaster. Yeah, lots of lovely friends. Marcus is on. How are you?
71
Marcus
goalie
Reeves.
71 goalie Mas says, still alive. Lol. I'd hope to type that you'd be alive. Otherwise,
well,
we'd be all in trouble.
AI.
I just watched 28 years later. So, you know, there's another problem.
What is that?
Zombie film.
Oh, right. And presumably it's full of hope and good outcomes for planet Earth.
Magnificent.
Yeah.
You know someone walking along alone in the woods, they're just having a lovely day.
Yeah.
And they're going to continue to have a lovely day.
Yeah.
No surprises waiting around bends or,
Nothing that. No apocalyptic occurrences.
Nah, it's just beautiful.
There's just Mary Poppins over there, Smurfs over there.
Yeah.
Everything's great.
Everything's fantastic.
Oh, a dear. Probably can't even sing that anymore, can you?
Frankie Walnut says, Dan looking like Johnny Marr. That's it. I'm done. I can retire. I'm going home. He is arguably the coolest person I've ever met.
Oh, that's a tough statement.
But
He's up there.
He's up
He's
there.
in the Premier League.
He's definitely.
No doubt
He's
about it.
He's not in the reserves. He's not on the bench.
No.
He is
He's
first pick.
Not
He's
GM
in.
Vauxhall Conference,
No.
if such a thing even still exists. Anyway, let's get into the Super Chats because we've got quite a lot this week. Thank you for your Super Chats, by the way. For anyone who's new, we prioritise the Super Chats.
Oh, and thank you for everyone that has gone in and got some merch. Ready for the Golden Tonekins.
Golden Tonekins, yeah, we're well underway. The first one has been awarded. Dan has got some notes.
Yes.
But you see, you haven't got any music, have you, Dan? You need some.
I need some music.
Music.
Okay.
Let's go for something nice and in tune.
That sounds about right. Yes, thank you to everyone.
It's tension and release.
Bought something from the TPS store in the last week since our 10 Golden Tonekins went live. So far, we've selected 2 random orders and sent out 2 Golden Tonekins. One Tonekin winner has been in touch. Congratulations to Nick in Oxfordshire. He's won one of the experience days. The other Tonekin is currently on its way to the Southern Hemisphere somewhere, and the random order was selected by a Mighty Mint Imperial. What does that mean?
There'll be an Instagram clip going out later. I played a game of Mint Imperial Drop Roulette to pick a winner.
Mint Imperial. Is that like a mint?
Little sweet.
Ah, I see. I thought it meant like the British mint. As a reminder, there are 8 more Golden Tonekins up for grabs, and we'll be selecting another random order this week.
Did you see that? Tension and release?
Yeah, I did.
That was actual jazz.
Yep.
If you don't know what the 10 Golden Tonekins campaign is all about, head to thatpedalshowstore.com and see. We're giving away stuff. Not least the chance to spend some time with me and Dan, building pedal boards and coming to experience days and watching live shows being filmed and all that stuff. And yeah, the first one has been won. The second one has been picked. More news in due course.
Look at this. Look at this. Come on, you.
There you go.
Focus. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
Nice. So, let us get into it. There's one or two moans going and going, how do I know that I'll be included in the draw when you pick them? Well, if you ordered between the dates, if the order came in between the dates that we said, you're in.
You're in.
You're in, okay? If your order was before, you won't be in. If your order is within the dates that we said, you will be picked. Doesn't matter when it's shipped. That's not the thing. It's when it was when the order comes in.
Yes.
Anyway, blah blah blah. Oh yes, BV is reminding me a missed super chat from last week.
Oh, okay.
Which, oh god. Let's see if I can access that information.
Pop Art says, Dan is one of my favourite telly players, but alas, no telly today. Mate, for that lovely compliment. Thank you. And I can do with a compliment at the moment. It's been a rough week already, and it's Monday. Here we go. A little bit of red coming at you. Sorry, that is red.
So somebody's telling me I missed a super chat from last week from Chino123, and I cannot see it. So it's not in the list of super chats unless he's going under a different name.
Chino.
Whoa. So if anyone can enlighten me on that, I'd be grateful. But I am not seeing it from last week. So my Apple Ogies. Sometimes the name displayed on the screen is different from your name in the comments. I have absolutely no idea why that is the case.
Technology, innit?
It won't come to any good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we got them all. But anyway, if anyone can enlighten me, that would be great. In the meantime, we'll get onto this week's super chats.
Yes. Braden Rodriguez has said, nice work on the Andertons video, Dan. Thank you. It was a real treat to be asked by the captain to go down and rebuild his board. And that was fun. I had a really, really fun day. And Taylor and, of course, Danish Pete and Lee, just some of our favourite people. And just as I did a post before, it was like 6 hours just laughing. And it was really great. It was really good for the soul, that stuff. And ended up with a board that Lee was delighted with. And he's got that new MKX Victory amp. It's got some really great sounds in it. And hearing Lee with his Strat do the Clapton thing, but with a bit more gain and a bit more punch and edge. He had some great tones going on. So it was really, really, really cool.
Yeah, there is one here somewhere, or there was one, so we'll get into that. Also, going to have a look at that new power amp that they've released with a tube in it.
Oh, yes.
Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Anyway, first super chat this week is from Mateusz Jimzinski. Jimzinski, I hope I pronounced that almost correctly. Mateusz. He says, Mick, any plans for a lower volume world exploration? You also mentioned a 10-inch combo show. Both topics are super interesting, keeping the hype alive. Yeah, I did say at the end of last year I was going to get into lower volume this year. It hasn't happened yet because I've got...
Because more volume is always better.
Well, I've got a band project. In fact, I'm going to do a shameless plug for my band project. So anyone in the UK on the Saturday the 11th of April... in the southwest, come and see my band play. If you scan this QR code,
oh, how cool!
You'll be able to get tickets.
Oh, that's brilliant!
Right. So,
the only thing wrong with that poster is it needs a picture of you on it.
Well, there's 7 of us.
You, 6 other heads.
There's 7 of us, and then there's no good photos that exist. There's one that exists from 30 years ago, but anyway.
So this is your band
from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Horn section, whole thing. So if you're in the southwest of England on Saturday the 11th of April. Anyway, Mateus, that was a lovely segue for me to plug my gig. I haven't, because that band is hella loud. Like,
yeah. Horn section.
It's that loud.
Horn section.
That is the rig I have been messing with today.
There's no quiet.
No.
With the horns going.
But I am interested because while doing the rehearsals in my head, I'm going, this is all but over for me because it's just too loud.
Interesting.
And it's cacophonous. And in the context of that band anyway, there's no light and shade. It's just
On. Okay.
all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and it's like, I can't do that forever. So I will get there. And part of me's going, if we had a decent front of house and monitors, I would so be into using smaller amps at this point.
Oh, cool.
But that doesn't exist in our world. So it's
Yeah,
an
but
8K rig
okay.
with self-managed monitors. And there's no way I'm entrusting
No.
my guitar sound to that.
No, of course.
So it's a great sound out front. It's arresting. So we will get into it, Mateos, and I am super interested in it. We do have some smaller amps that have just started to seep into that pedal show universe. So it will happen, and it will happen this year. Apologies for not getting on it a bit sooner. Not only when we do the bar next door, which is a new room that we're doing, we'll have the ability to sit in the control room and have amps mic'd in here, which is a lower volume environment by definition. So we will be getting into that as well. So we're a month or two away from that. So it will happen, just not yet. Get these gigs out of the way, and then I can start thinking about turning down again. At the moment, not so much.
Yeah, that's so cool though. Where's the gig?
Yeovil.
Yeovil. Okay.
Not the Oval, as my Australian cousin
Okay.
thought it was.
Okay.
The Oval?
That's awesome, mate.
Yeah. Johnny T. Johnny T. Mr. Rothery is a big influence on, was a big influence on 13-year-old Johnny T in 1985.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so great to have him back on.
It was a really nice chat. It went out under the auspices of having a look at the 2290, but when Steve turned up, the 2290 was a bit sick, so we couldn't really dig into that rabbit hole too much. So instead we had a general chat about delay, and it was really nice.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Nice where it went. I've been hovering over a used 2290 all over the weekend, and
It's a crapshoot though, isn't it?
it is, and that is exactly why I haven't done it.
Yeah, I agree.
I did buy the pedal though.
Dave Foster's in the chat.
Hey Dave,
Hey,
how are you?
mate.
Dave joined us on the day and
Yes.
was here. It was really good to hang out, Dave.
Yeah, that's great.
I did buy the pedal, the 2290p, or should I say, we bought the 2290p.
The TC Electronic
Yeah,
one. Okay,
so
great.
at least we've got that.
Yeah, great. I thought that sounded really good, actually.
Yeah, I want to kind of explore it a bit
Yeah.
more. I want to explore it a bit more. Mellow Fellow 7. Hello, Mellow Fellow 7. Gents, it's a new guitar last week. New pedal this week. I got a Rotosphere Mark II.
Wow.
Trying it both in front of a dry amp and in the effects loop. Mick, are you still using it in the TS1 effects loop, current best practice? I don't use it in the loop of the TS1. Actually, having said that's the rig I've been messing around with today. The rig I've been using for the rehearsals is my 2 rocks, obviously, because I'm an arsehole. 2 rocks with 2 2x12 cabs, and it's going straight in the front of the TS1, actually. If I was using the TS1 overdrive channel, I would use it in the loop, maybe, but it sounds pretty good into an overdriving amp as well. So I kind of like it into the front of a clean, just on the edge amp. Seems to work great. And if I can offer you any advice, what you want to do is figure out whether the saturation or the volume control introduces the most hiss. And on mine, it's the volume control, right?
Oh, interesting.
So what I do is I get the saturation up as much as I can, because that's sort of preampy gain, as high as I possibly can before it's overdriving too much, and then I bring the volume up to suit so that I can have the volume down for the least amount of hiss. But actually, mine's not too noisy. It's not too bad at all. And then where you have the rotor and drum balance, the control on the right also, for obvious reasons, has a significant effect on the amount of hiss. Like if you've got loads of rotor in because it's more trebly, you get more hiss. If it's more towards the drum, you get less hiss. So it's just balancing that up so that it's present enough that you can hear it. But remember, they were always pretty warm sounding things. They never jangled very much.
No.
Did a rotary speaker cabinet. So you can have it. And of course, the other benefit of having it little bit darker sounding is you can have it louder.
Yeah. And it is that thing, whenever you kick it on, especially on experienced days, the whole room just goes.
I'm trying to get away from it, and I just can't.
You can't.
It sounds
That's the
so
sound.
damn good.
That's
But I
the
tell you
sound.
what, I've also done. I've done your trick of putting a diamond vibrato,
Oh, have you?
wet dry
Yeah.
on vibrato.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to Joey play as well, and having that overt vibrato sound, I like it so much.
Yeah.
And Maddie Cunningham, which is coming up this Friday, which I've been editing today, and her sound again, it's just like, yeah, got to have a bit of that.
She's unreal, man. I'm just, wow, what a lovely human. My daughter was here while we were filming, and Maddie was just so lovely, because my daughter's a massive Madison Cunningham fan, as you probably imagine, for young girl, singer-songwriter. And Madison was just so lovely and nice, was showing us some stuff, and then Maddie just proceeds to play the most devastating guitar, and yeah, you will love this show. And if you don't know who Madison Cunningham is,
It's so good.
man,
There's a bit she's playing. She starts off on a nylon string, electroacoustic nylon string, and there's quite a significant pedal board. And she turns the artificial blonde on, which is her vibrato pedal done with JHS. And I say, "Do you use any of this other stuff with the nylon string?" She's like, "Yeah, all of it." Turns on the fuzz. It's really cool, really cool. Someone's saying, "Mick, can we call you Mickey Two Rocks at this stage?"
Mickey
Please do.
Two Rocks. That's awesome. Oh, there's a new T-shirt. Hey, Mickey Two Rocks.
Hey, Mickey Far Rocks.
Very good.
Anyway, sorry. Let's get back to the point. Morley Robertson. Hey, Morley, how are you? He says, Legends, hope you're well. No question this week. I was at a local shop on the weekend and was delighted to find a used Humdinger version 2,
Ah, cool.
which has now replaced my Radial Big Shot. It's a massive improvement.
Oh, dude.
That's it. I'd be interested to know what you perceive the difference to be. Dan knows what the difference is, but I'm interested at how those things end up in the real world.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Simon V. How are you, bud? He says, "Hey D&M, I bought a Boss NS1X last week on sale. Am I right to think to put it after a gain stage? PS, spag bol or lasagna, which is the better meal?"
Spag bowl, definitely.
Oh, this is a hard one.
Oh, well, actually, it depends how good the white sauce is on the lasagna.
Depends on so much, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
But like perfect bolognese or perfect lasagna, that's a tough call, man.
There's a specific mood that can take me where the only thing that will work is an amazing bolognese. And then I will move heaven and earth to create it.
Nice.
But I don't really get that with lasagna, because there's a lot of pasta sheets in lasagna,
Yeah.
whereas I can be more sauce
You are
heavy.
actually dribbling. He is actually dribbling.
Yum, yum, yum. Yeah, I'm gonna go home now after this and make myself a bolognese.
Anyway, the question was about, so an NS1X, what's that? A noise suppressor?
Yes, I think so.
NS1X, noise suppressor. Yeah, okay. What I would suggest you do, Simon, which you may have already done, is to watch Dan's video on Gigs and Rigs, where you discussed noise gates in fairly deep.
Yes.
So it's a bit more complex than just before or after a gain stage, isn't it?
It is, because the really interesting thing about modern noise gates is that it uses like an envelope follower as a trigger. So it's not doing anything really to lessen the noise. What it does is, when you're not playing, it shuts everything down. So if you imagine you've got a gate, like, which your board goes in, and the guitar goes in the input, and whenever you play a note, the gate opens. And when you stop playing, that gate shuts. And it's Yeah, it's really clever, and there's a bunch of different types. I know loads of people like the ISP decimators, but there's loads of them. But that basically is the deal. That they go, and yeah, sorry. The other idea is that it's the gain stages that you put in the gate. Everything else after that isn't creating gain can sit after the noise gate, but actually have your gains in the gate. And the cool thing with that is you play something, and when you stop, if you've got delay and reverb and things, that will carry on. But if you put everything in the gate, then when you stop, you don't get delay trails and things like that. But anyway, it's a very interesting thing. I actually dug it, just playing a standard Boss NS2, and it was really interesting. You've got to be a little bit careful with how sensitive you set it, because I found immediately when I was, trying to be dynamic and soulful, that it was gating on some of the less sounds, but backing off the sensitivity or increasing the sensitivity of the noise gate, it actually did a pretty good job. There you go. Hope that was helpful.
Yeah, I think they're most useful if you run a gainy amp.
Very useful.
If you're running a clean amp and you've got noise, the problem is on the pedal board and it can be solved.
That's right.
Or you just turn your gain pedals off. If you're running a gainy amp, that's when you can start looking at a noise suppressor, right?
Yep.
Because there's nothing you can do about that. The amp is hammering and has got loads of gain in it, and you might be hitting it with some other stuff, and it just is noisy. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
So that's when the noise suppressor works. But if you're running a clean amp and you've got noise, it can be solved elsewhere.
Very good.
Yeah. I know you asked the difficult question, Simon, as you say. It will be Fat Old Guy at 5,000 meters. A fat old guy at 5,000 meters says, could you still enjoy playing the guitar without your pedals? Assume a wager. £1 million to you or your favourite charity if you play 1 year without pedals. Our gig's still fun. Our gig's still fun. Yeah, for me, easy peasy play without pedals. No problem at all.
As long as you've got an amp.
Yeah, good amp.
Good amp. If it's got a bit of reverb and trem, that'd be great. Yeah.
Just reverb for me. I can exist on reverb.
Yeah.
But the amp would have to have some gain in it. Would have to have more gain than my 2-Rock has.
Yeah.
Would have to be a channel switching amp, because I wouldn't want to play without some gain.
Yeah.
I mean, that will do gainy, but it won't do like heavy overdrive.
Yeah, sure.
And if you want to play rock music of the Scorpions, D Scorpions. Actually, I'm not even sure they have a definitive article, do they? It's just Scorpions. Then you need gain, so it would have to be some sort of channel switching amplifier. But yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah, I mean, I would...
What would you be saddest without?
Delays, flanges. I'd be vibrato. It'd be...
Which one? What would you be saddest without?
Delay, probably.
Yeah, me too, I think.
Because it's so great.
Yeah.
It does so much. Yeah. I could do it. I'd prefer not to, but you'd be stunned what I'd do for $1 million. Stunned.
It's not for you. $1 million is not for you.
Look, it's $1 million for charity. Charity begins at home. My home. So,
Thanks for the question. Carson Green. Hello, Carson Green. Whenever I read your name, Carson, I always think of the dude in Downton Abbey. Mr. Carson, was that his name, the butler?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Carson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always think of him. I don't know why. Anyway, he says, because your name's Carson, but I'm new to transistor boosts. I thought that meant range masters with honky tones, but I got a luxury drive and a colour driver and I'm hooked. What else works for that cut? F. King lead tones are an inspiration. Oh, I see. Freddie King. I thought you meant... Okay. Well, so you know that that a good many of Freddie's sounds were that out of phase
Yeah.
sound where the neck pickup has its magnet flipped, right? Why? Because, well, presumably because he picked up an ES345 that was wired stereo and put it in the middle position.
Then he went.
Yeah. So that is a huge part of it, right? But it might be that, and I'm assuming you know that, and my apologies if I'm being too simplistic, but it makes sense to explain it from the start, because if anyone's not aware of that, then what you're enjoying about the treble booster is it's doing something of a similar job, right? It's shelving off a load of bottom end, and it is really accentuating a frequency, I don't know, somewhere between 800 and 2K, depending on the treble booster, something like that. Very nasal frequency. And that is quite similar to the in-between sound of a 4-pot Gibson or a 2-humbucker Gibson with one of the pickups out of phase. So I think I'm putting 2 and 2 together here and making 5, but it's a reasonable hypothesis.
I've just had an idea. Anyway, yes, there are loads of really fabulous boosts that have enough EQ power to give you some really good options. The heavy water from Thorpe is one of our favourites, and the really cool thing about that is you've got a couple of different boost level options, which is wonderful. There's loads of them. Jesse Hoff from Lazy J, the Cruiser, as a dual booster. It's freaking wild.
I don't know where it is, but my favourite one, this one, is this one. The little analog man one, Beano booster. So this switch here, which I'll show you in a sec, decides how much bottom end it lets through, basically.
It's great. Changes the capacitor at the input. So changes how much bottom end is going in. Center position is the original. Center position is the original value for the original Dallas Arbiter treble booster.
I've also just showed you the Superconductor by Crazy
brilliant.
Tube Circuits, which is a really fantastic booster that does all of the above. I think it does. The Range Master. Yeah, it does. So you can have full frequency boost right through the treble booster, and that way you can sort of tailor it to what you like. I think that is a stunningly good all-round booster. But if you want a specific treble booster, they don't come much better than that in terms of being available. And where are you? You are in the United States of America, Carson, so Analog Man is a good shout for you.
The other booster, if you're looking at like a treble booster type thing, and depending on where it is of your signal, I was actually contacted today by a friend of mine looking for a treble booster, but he uses a wireless system. The best treble booster that I've ever heard that works with a buffered signal is the NRG Poker. So Neil Grimes uses a really cool silicon transistor that works with a buffer at the input, and it sounds fabulous. So yeah, if you've got an input buffer right at the input of your board, the NRG Poker will work brilliantly. It actually works brilliantly with or without the buffer. It's a fabulous, fabulous booster. Still like a traditional design with that silicon, old school silicon transistor, but he's tweaked it so it works great with the buffer.
Also, honorary shout out to Marcus Reeves, who is in the chat.
Oh yeah.
Marcus does I don't know, is it out, Marcus, the May booster? Marcus does a May booster.
We've got one somewhere,
yeah,
right?
Which is pretty sexy, so check out Marcus's stuff as well. I would think because you're in America, Analog Man makes a lot of sense, but anyway. Right, the missing super chat from Chilino123. David put me right on the reason the names get changed earlier. Apparently it's something to do with YouTube. There's screen names and there's actual names, and sometimes YouTube makes a difference.
Oh.
Anyway, It was David Burke. Sorry, David, my brain is trying to do 18 things at once, as usual. Thank you, David, for the info on that. Anyway, the question was from Chino. Oh, please tell me I can find it now. BV. It was from Chino123. Okay, Dan and Mick have to choose a rig. A Fender Tonemaster Bassman with a pedal board going through the PA. Or a Headrush Flex Prime with a full range flat response monitor.
Tone Master.
Amp and pedal board for me.
Yeah, sure.
Every day of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's not to say that the Headrush can't sound great. I've heard the Headrush sound fantastic. But for me, to dial in a sound, I'll be able to go up to the amplifier and go, have a bass sound that I can work with, and then a pedal board, and I'll be away. It will take me a long time to get anything anywhere near a tone that I could use live with the Headrush or any sort of programming thing. But
and the FRFR.
all that stuff, it's like, I just...
Despite what you might think, a Tonemaster amp is not FRFR.
Yeah.
It's still a guitar amp.
Yeah.
And, yeah, FRFR, loads of people, full range flat response, essentially not necessarily a powered PA speaker, because they do have a sound as well, but a full range flat response speaker instead of what a guitar amp is, which is not that.
Mm-hmm.
And loads of people use them, loads of people get on fine with them. Me and Dan despise them.
Yeah.
Because we don't and haven't used them and struggle trying to get the frequencies to present in a way that we're used to, having done it for now 40 years in my case. So, yeah. You can do it, but yeah, Tonemaster all the way.
Yep. Stephen Hoist, thank you, mate. He's just got a question about cables with the G3S. You said you've got some smaller evidence and George L style cables. They work great. So that will get you sorted. Thank you, buddy.
Michael Giliberto.
How
are you, Michael?
Hey, mate.
Good to hear from you. He says, loved seeing Mr. Rothery again last week. Also rediscovered.
So did we.
Also rediscovered the TPS show where you first explored the colour, sound and variants. No question. Please dip into the chat. Love to all you humans and Rosie too. Rosie should be in a minute. She's out there asleep. Okay, Michael says... let's see. Let's see if there's a question here. It is a...
Oh, I got a question. Oh, sorry. Did you find one?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Well, it's from Uncle Ebenezer 46, and it says, does the Analog Man Brothers Chase Bliss collaboration work post-buffered signal?
Yes, it does. Same as any Blues Breaker variant. It works great with a buffered input. To be fair, most of those pedals do. The only ones that really struggle are
Fuzzes?
Fuzzes struggle.
Vintage fuzzes.
Vintage fuzzes struggle. And I'll tell you why.
Wah-wahs?
Yeah, wah-wahs can, but they're not too bad. It does change the envelope. It does change that stuff.
It will change the sound of it,
yeah.
By the way. It's not like a buffered signal or an unbuffered one into it will sound the same. It will sound different.
Yeah, but it will work.
Yeah.
The issue
and you might prefer it.
The issue that you've got with old fuzzers, basically, when these fuzzers were made, these guys didn't really know what they were doing. And it's designed with the opposite of the way that people would design a pedal nowadays. Nowadays, people would design a pedal with a high impedance at the input that would take a very sensitive signal. But the fuzzers have a low impedance at the input, like 10, 15K, as opposed to like 1,000,000 ohms with, most Boss pedals that we use as a reference. But the interesting thing about the fuzz is that if you've got, say, a 15k input at the fuzz, and let's say you've got like a 7k output from your pickups, it's loading, the fuzz is loading the pickups, and it creates this relationship. So which is why when you've got a fuzz going and you start doing things like just back off a hair on your volume, it changes the tone drastically at the fuzz. But the other thing with the fuzz is it has a high output impedance, which generally a Boss pedal has a low output impedance, which will drive cables and things. Which is why sometimes when I was first getting into fuzzes, I thought my fuzz was broken because every time I turned on my delay, it got super bright. I actually thought my delay was broken, my memory man. But anyway, and then the story goes that a customer took his fuzz face to Gary Hurst and said, I just can't get this thing to sound any good. And Gary was like, oh, well, here's why. And then Gary designed a input buffer stage that worked with the fuzz, and then we get the 3 transistor
Tone bender,
and then the rest is history. But apart from those vintage design fuzzes and treble boosters, to be fair, because they have the same, the germanium top treble boosters have the same idiosyncratic nature. Lots of things work great. Most things work great with buffers, but as Mick said, it will change the sound and feel because you're getting not necessarily a stronger input, but you're hitting the input with a lower impedance. And you're also, especially with gain pedals, there's a structure that happens with the inductance of the coil of the pickups, and the way that the impedance changes via frequency and amplitude that you hit the strings, and it just changes the input impedance. Once it goes through a buffer, that impedance is locked down. Not a bad thing. It's just a different thing. So there you go. I'll get my coat.
Yeah. I tend not to like overdrives being hit with a buffer.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I tend not to like it because I don't like that bright thing. But then that's because of how the whole rest of the rig works. You might be lacking a little clarity and you might really love that sound. Mm-hmm. So it's worth trying. Definitely worth trying.
And especially, we found with humbuckers sometimes just having a buffer at the input can be really helpful.
Yeah.
Or at least early on in the chain.
Yeah. And then that is if you're going, well, I've got this pedal that's always buffered and I need something and it's got to go at the beginning for whatever reason. It's either doing that buffer job because you want it downstream, or it's doing the buffer job because the pedal has to go there and it can't go anywhere else. In that instance, that's when you start looking at Drew bypass looper. Yeah. Because then you only turn the pedal on when you want to use it.
Yeah. And Marcus Reeves has said transformer inputs are a great compromise for fuzzers. So it's really interesting. There's a couple of designs that I've had to play with that use a transformer to do exactly that job. So what the transformer at the input of the fuzz is doing is it's replacing the inductance of the coil of the pickup so that you can hit it with a lower input impedance, but the coil makes the fuzz circuit think it's seeing a pickup coil. It's not exactly the same because the impedance doesn't change with velocity and frequency the way that the steel vibrating through the magnetic field, but it can mean that you can design a fuzz that can sound great and can go anywhere in the chain. Absolutely, Marcus. It's a great thing. I think Hello Sailor has also done some really cool things with the that type of thing. But it's a really great way to do it. But then also having the option to take the transformer out so that if you do have it at the start of your chain, it's all good. But then the transformer can solve problems if you have it further down. Or if you're using a wireless system, for example, where everything is buffered. Someone had mentioned before what Brian May does. He's using Greg Fry treble boosters, has for a long time. Greg Fryer, sorry. And he actually just sticks his treble booster on his guitar strap. So the output comes out of his guitar into his treble booster, out of the treble booster into the wireless system, and away he goes.
There we are. Hopefully that answers the question. Evening, gentlemen. A tricky hypothetical question for you from Ian Jeffrey. Hello, Ian.
Hey, mate.
Ian says, a tricky hypothetical question. If you had to give one of your guitars to a friend, one to a stranger, and sell one for charity, which one to who?
My God. I give this guitar to a friend and ask him to give it straight back, because that's what friends do.
So you've got to give a guitar to a friend, one to a stranger, and sell one for charity.
I don't want to give my guitars away.
It's a hypothetical question.
It still makes me triggered. Let me... what would I do?
Dan's not a big fan of giving things away.
What would I do? I tell you what. Oh, no. That's really...
While he thinks about it,
You tell me, what would you do?
I'd give this to Jake Loosemore.
Okay.
I would give to a stranger. So it's a stranger. So it would depend on their needs, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. So what guitar would you just randomly give to a stranger? I'd give them my Taylor 714 CE. Because,
Oh, that's nice.
it's a guitar you can have a lot of fun with
Yeah.
immediately. And then to sell for charity, it would have to be a guitar that has the most... it would have been blue, because it would have been a guitar that had the most connection with TPS and therefore would get the most at charity. I mean, I suppose the old Strat is the most valuable guitar I own, so it would, again, probably have to be that. But
I would give my Johnny Kincaid acoustic to Mark Johns, who is a very dear friend and probably the best acoustic guitar player I've ever heard. And I played him that guitar over the phone. He's just like, oh my God, that's just incredible. So I would give that guitar to Mark Johns. To a stranger, I would give... to a stranger... Ooh, I would give my Les Paul to a stranger because it's just cool and I would want the stranger to look cool. And then to sell for charity, Red I think would bring in some dollars for charity.
yeah. Rigor said, what happened to blue? Did you sell it? Yes, I did, Rigor. Yeah, I sold it to fund the 345. Yeah. Let's answer this quickly. Amara70 says, why pedals? ? That's my question.
Because
Tone.
So no, but it's a great question.
We can hypothesize about the underlying meaning in your question, but we don't know that. So
I think of pedals as modules in a system. They are super easy to dial in. There's knobs on them. You go, I need a bit more of that. It's right there. There's a great video with session legend Tim Pierce, and he was talking about being in a session. He said, you got 10 seconds. If something isn't wrong, if something isn't right, you got 10 seconds to dial it in. He said, I don't have time on a session to be going through menus and stuff. He gets his board out. There it is. So I love that about pedals, but also I love that today I'm really enjoying my hotcake. It's the best thing. Tomorrow it's like, oh, I found this old Dean Markley Overlord that's been modded. And it's oh, and that strikes something in me, and I can just go like this. I go, put that in, and I think, so for inspiration, I just think pedals are wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And this gets into a more deeper thing, but there are so many amazing people in the pedal community that create things that are just mind-blowing. And I love that. I love the passion that goes into these things. Like Marcus Reeves is in the chat. I think it's a great example. When I first discovered Marcus's stuff, and I think it was a post by Brian Wampler, and he said, "Look at this," and there was the point-to-point wiring in the back of the pedal. It just blew my mind. And you don't do that because you're just messing around. You do that because it means something to you. Like, this is a reflection of how much I care about this stuff. And if anyone take the back off a Rears Electro, it's astonishing. Yeah. And I love that. I love that for everyone, there are things that you'll connect with differently. And I've worked with so many players who come at things, everyone comes at it from a different angle. And I promise you, there are things in pedal land that you will connect with. Yeah. You just might have to do a little work and find them. But that's where the fun is. So that's why pedals for me.
The answer for me is shorter and more prosaic. Because Jimi Hendrix, because Stevie Ray Vaughan,
there you go.
Because The Edge, because Mike McCready, because John Frusciante, because
David Gilmour,
because Michael Landau, because Joey Landreth. Literally every single one of my favourite guitar players, including Edward Van Halen, used pedals.
Yep.
So that's why pedals for me.
That's perfect.
Okay. Plexico. Duncan, how are you, buddy?
Hey, mate.
He says, hi, DNM and fam. Hi back to you and fam. He says, this is a question for Dan. How would you describe the differences between your Matchless and the Bad Cat era? Is there anything missing that would make you change amps?
The Bad Cat era. Okay, so quick thing. I've been a fan of Matchless amps ever since I've heard. We had a rehearsal with Dave Gregory, and he brought out his Matchless, and it's like the best amp I'd ever heard. It was amazing, and I really got into the company, like looking at the history of it, and Mark Sampson, and anyway. Then when Mark Sampson went and started up Bad Cat after he left Matchless, he just some really interesting designs. And then
EVH said he didn't use any pedals in interviews.
No, he didn't use any overdrive pedals.
Flanger, phaser. I mean, the
tape delay.
How did he get the delay? Yeah. So he might. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. They might have been rack units, or they might have been operated by his tech, or they might have even been added in post. But he wouldn't have sounded like it EVH without them.
Yeah.
So
I think specifically he said he didn't use any overdrive pedals. Okay. It was very much about but he used pedals. He absolutely used pedals. Yeah. So, what was I talking about? I've just gone.
We were talking about
the Bad Cat. The Bad Cat. So I think the era, Mark did a really good job of overcoming some of the complications or some of the challenges that people have had with their DC30s. Effects loops, having the different volume between the channels and that sort of stuff. He's done a great job. Actually did the last interview with Mark before he passed away. Got to interview him with Lee Anderton, and then actually got to meet him in LA last year. And then he, unfortunately, just after NAMM, he passed away. But he left an amazing legacy, and I think the Bad Cat era is a really great amp. Now, saying that, the Matchless does a thing that is incredibly unique. I've never heard another amp do it, and I love it. I would say the era is more flexible. You get more bang for your buck, as it were, because I think the EQ might be a bit more forgiving, and you get a better balance between the two channels and the the master volume on the overdrive channel and blah blah blah. So it's a really fabulous amp. I would never sell my Matchless, ever. It's one of the best amps I've ever heard, and every time I plug into it, I'm just reminded what an amazing amplifier it is.
I think Dan speaks of the relationships we build with things that become important, because I think when you're coming to something new, you're free to make a more objective. I mean, no, we've talked about this earlier. No decision you ever make in your life is actually objective. It's always subjective to some degree, informed by all your conscious and subconscious biases. Just is. Mm-hmm. So you're more, if you're coming to something new, you're more able to make something approaching a more objective decision. The more you get invested and then need to change, obviously the pivot on the seesaw moves greatly. Like, I'm sure that there are amps that if you spent the next year listening, he would prefer to his Matchless and I would prefer to my 2-rock. But you're sort of invested in it and the time you've put in and all of that. It's not...
That's right.
You're never starting from like a clean slate.
Yeah, completely.
You carry all that bias with you. And
there's
that's
a
fine.
Story with the Matchless.
Yeah, it's like imagine you go out every day and you're like, oh, who shall I marry today?
Yeah,
You know?
Sure.
And let's make that decision differently every day. And it's like, of course I'd marry Catherine. But the relationship counts for something. Your time together counts for something, and it becomes more important than is the grass greener, to use a really ugly analogy. But yeah.
But if you're not coming to it with that sort of baggage, then I mean, they're both fabulous, and unless the Matchless has that very specific thing that you're looking for, you're going to go a very long way to do better than the Era 30. It's fabulous. I mean, ultimately, you just got to try them both. You just got to try them both and see which one you connect with. There's a thing about the simplicity of the Matchless, especially the EF86 channel. It's it's just a very simple thing, which I absolutely adore. Like, it's a simple thing. I'm a simple human. There we go.
But it's fun, is it? The only way I can play it is when it's cranked.
Yeah.
I can't deal with it when it's not.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
When it's in its like open.
Sure.
Because it's like, ah!
Yeah. Especially with a telly into it.
But cranked, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it cranked. Okay, we might have to just pick up a little bit, Daniel.
Yes, no problem.
Quite a lot. I know we're well into our tangents, but how many have we got? Well, yeah, we just go at a... We'll go at a pace. Chris Costabile.
Hey,
Chris Costabile says, D&M, your episode on tuning is one of my favourites. I'm obsessive about tuning and intonation. I was wondering, do you have any thoughts on the PRS 594 model with its special scale length? Does it improve intonation? No. No scale length improves intonation.
No.
It's how accurately the guitar is built and then how accurately it's intonated.
Yes. And then how accurately it's played.
Yeah, right. So for anyone who doesn't know, the 594, let me get this right, 24.594 inches, which according to Paul was the correct vintage Gibson scale length. Gibson quote it as 24 3/4, and I think if you measure it one way, you get 24 3/4, but if you measure it the correct way, which is nut to 12th fret and double.
Oh, interesting.
Something like that. Forgive me. But whether the scale length is 24, like a Fender Jazzmaster, 24.75 as Gibson quote it, 24.594 as PRS says it is, 25 as a PRS, the standard PRS is, or 25.5 as a Strat is, or indeed even longer than that, Jazz Manouche guitars, 650 millimeters, etc., etc. It's how the frets are spaced thereafter that makes the difference. That's when we get into stuff like Frank Gambale's wiggly frets, fan fret guitars, and all the rest of it. And what intonating a guitar assumes is that you apply equal pressure in the perfect place every time you play, and nobody does that.
No, that's right.
So what tends to happen more frequently is when you've been playing a guitar for a long time, it may not be intonated very well, but you've learned to bend it into tune when you fret.
And I do think that players that spend a long time with a particular instrument, that have really come to know that particular guitar, as a good thing.
Yeah.
Like all my favorite guitar players played a guitar.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a great, I mean, if you're not like magpies like we are, going, oh, I need one of those and I need one of those and I need one of those, we'd all be better guitar players if we just had like that guitar and a spare, right?
Yeah.
Because it would become one with you. And as Dan says, you know, we can name the guitar players for whom the guitar, you know, they have a main guitar, certainly, you know, for a period.
Yeah.
And then maybe they change a bit, but typically.
Yeah.
So, Chris, it may be more correct, as Paul says, in terms of vintage scale length. Now, what the thing that scale length really does do is affect the sound of a guitar, because the harmonics develop differently, everything develops differently depending on the tension of the string, the singing length, what's happening at other sides of the singing length of the string, that's to say be on the nut and be on the saddles. And it, as a generalization and maybe a reduction, I want to say that in an electric guitar, the shorter the scale length, the chewier the mid-range.
Oh, interesting.
And the longer the scale length, like if you take a telly and you make it 24 and you make it 26, you'll find that those bass notes are more, to use a term, piano-like.
Oh, right.
And you can hear that. If you listen to a Gibson and you listen to a Fender, you can hear that. Now, how much of that is to do with the rest of the construction of the guitar? Somewhat it is. But I think it's generally accepted that longer scale length, you get that more note definition, more clarity.
What's this?
25.5 inches, 648 millimeters.
Right. And it's longer scale length than a Gibson.
Yes.
Right.
By about an inch.
Okay.
Quoted at 24 3/4 a Gibson, but as per the question, 24.594. And obviously, the longer the scale length for the same tuning, the higher the tension.
Right.
So if you put a set of 10s on a Les Paul and tune it to E, that's lower tension than a set of 10s on a Strat tuned to E. Now, there may be other factors there. The actual physical tension of the string is the same. The elasticity changes. Now we're getting out onto the ice. Ooh.
I like it.
I wonder, Chris, have you tried any of the fan fret guitars or the wiggly Frank Gambale frets? I'm always interested in that stuff.
Right.
Because the other thing was the old Buzz Featon tuning system,
Yes.
which used to talk about that.
I like the nut. I thought the nut was really good because I always have this thing, especially with a G string, where that's flat and that's sharp. It's like, oh no. Yeah.
Yep.
He's a good guitar player, old Buzzy Featon. I don't know how you pronounce his name. It was very good.
Experimental Chris Crostobal says, so there's an example. You are Experimental Chris and you are also Chris Costabile. So that's how that works. That's that thing I was talking about earlier.
Oh.
The names being different. I'd read that fret spacing via the 594 makes the intervallic relationships more harmonically accurate, hence better intonation. Yeah, that, absolutely. So if they've put the frets in different places, 100%. Now, I'll have a moan about modern Gibson. They fret the bloody fingerboards, or the last time I went to Gibson USA factory, they fret the bloody fingerboards before they put them on the guitar. It's like,
yeah.
And if everything's lined up, no problem, right?
Yeah.
But what if, what if it's like, what if the neck has moved by, or, what? Because a lot of people thought the bridges were in the wrong place. And Bill Collins sat me down one day and he said, there's something you need to understand, boy. The bridge can't be in the wrong place. It's CNC'd, you numbnuts.
Okay.
And proceeded to give me a good dressing down on the on that whole topic, which was ace.
I never met Bill.
While having a Taylor Guitars hat on back to front and singing My Ding-a-ling, I think he was. He was so great. It wasn't My Ding-a-ling, it was something about a rubber hose. Anyway. He was such a great guy. Anyway. And Combustion Engine said, that's fine if you locate the bridge after that. Yeah, well, that's not how it's done. Anyway. And there's a few questions coming in about reverse headstock and all of that. It's related vis-a-vis total length of string and elasticity.
Yeah.
Tension is the same. Anyway, it's a bit of a chestnut. Physics people like these questions. Dave Sandman. Dave Sandman says, hi DNM, what about a show on your favourite songs or records of all time? And the use of pedals might be a guessing game, of course, or a challenge where you have to replicate sounds.
It's difficult because you get banned.
You get copyright strikes for doing that sort of stuff, but it is great. I've often wondered if we could do a show like that, reference it, and then create a playlist somewhere.
I love that.
But not on Spotify.
No.
Where you could go and listen to the tracks, or we just do the tracks and you go onto your streaming service of choice and call them up and listen to them while we're talking about it. That could work. But if we play any of that, then we get copyrighted.
Yeah.
But it's great. I mean, that's what most people want to know, isn't it, Dave? What pedal was this? And we can
say, well, this was the pedal, and this is what you can do.
Yeah.
To sort of do what that pedal's doing.
Yeah.
Give you some options. Yeah, I dig it.
Johnny T. Dan, do you want an SG special like Mr. Gregory's?
An SG special? Wow, let me tell you. I had an SG special. I had a 62 or 63 SG special, and it was an absolute pig. It was the worst guitar I've ever played in my life. And I took it to Johnny Kincaid and tried to get him to fix it. We found a big crack that went all the way through the body. He fixed it, didn't solve anything. Eventually someone offered me some money, and it was basically what I paid for it, so I was happy just to move it on. However, in my custody at this moment, I have a 1964 SG Special conversion that I may or may not become the new custodian of.
Converted from what to what?
From a special to 2 humbuckers.
Oh, nice.
Which I might convert back to 2P90s.
Oh, I like slab. I don't own one, but I don't think I own one. Slab mahogany guitars with humbuckers. I think it's a good platform.
Yeah.
SG, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I've already got that.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, well, this could be interesting. But anyway, so maybe. But I think
You've got
between
a real guitar on at the moment, haven't you?
I do.
You're scouring the horizon for new guitars.
Yeah.
Dan has just bought a new guitar.
I've just bought a new guitar.
More info on which will be forthcoming soon.
Yeah. So yes, I do. I love the 2P90 thing. I love the cleans. However, it's this. This is the guitar that all others must be measured by, as far as the P90 thing is concerned, because
it's a spectacular guitar. I know we say it a lot, but it just is.
The issue that I've got with the special, as soon as that pickup goes in here and the route, it's so close to the tangs of the neck and it does something. But this,
I don't think it gets any better than
No, it's astonishing. So, and especially because 90% of the time with the special, I'm on the bridge pickup anyway, and it's like, well, if I want some neck pickup sounds, I'll just roll the tone down a bit.
If you want neck pickup sounds, get a guitar with a neck pickup.
Yeah. So anyway, but I have heard them sound spectacular, and yes, Mr. Gregory, whenever he had the SG, the special, but then he had the Firebird with the 2 P90s in it, and far out, man, that thing was an absolute monster live. So good. Yeah.
Tony Vardy says, can't wait for you to play your new guitar, Dan. So does Tony Vardy know what it is?
I don't know if Tony Vardy does know what it is.
And Michael Koenig says, that bloody thing is louder acoustically than the Gretsch. It very well might be, you know.
Yeah, it weighs nothing. Like it's anti-weight. And it's so resonant and beautiful.
It's actually no thing.
It's no thing.
For all the existentialists out there.
And it's, yeah, just, anyway. So this is actually Dave Gregory found me this guitar.
Scott Pickett. Scott Pickett. Great name for a guitar player.
Yeah.
He says, happy Monday, gents. I got a Marshall 50-watt JCM 2000 a few weeks back with a 212 cab. Yes, you did.
Come on.
What speakers would you suggest for a replacement of 50-watt 8 Celestion MG series that's in there now? Thanks for all you do and the guitar community.
I've got 2 suggestions for you. I don't know if Mick will like my second suggestion.
I've got 3
The
suggestions.
first suggestion is going to be H30s in there.
Which is G12H, which has got the gold sticker on the back, heavy magnet Celestion.
Yes.
It's got 70th anniversary written on it.
Yes.
Just for the avoidance of confusion, G12H.
I think they're great. But my other suggestion is going to be vintage 30s.
That's going to be one of my suggestions.
Is it really?
Yeah. And
There
it's
you go.
dependent on your music style, right? If you play classic rock and you've got that amp at kind of somewhere just over half volume,
Yeah.
greenbacks every day of the week.
Yeah.
Just
Come
get
on.
greenbacks, and that is the sound of classic rock.
But two 25-watt greenbacks and a 50-watt amp?
Fine.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I said if you've got it.
If you're not killing it, okay.
Yeah. If you like post rock, if you like something a bit slightly more modern sounding, veering into harder rock and dare I say metal, if you're into that, vintage 30s, I would say almost every day of the week. Now, there's a lot of people who moan about modern vintage 30s not being as good as the old ones. It is what it is.
Yeah.
There's plenty of good sounding vintage 30s out there, so Celestion vintage 30s. And there's two mid things, right, between greenbacks and vintage 30s. The first one, the closest thing to vintage 30s is the Creamback 65.
Yeah.
Right? That'll give you a bit more power, not as squashy as vintage 30s. I want to say they're about the same
70 watts?
efficiency,
Yeah.
because the greenbacks be quite a lot less loud than the vintage 30s. Vintage 30s will sound almost twice as loud as the greenbacks, right? Because of the sensitivity of the speaker. So if you want something just a bit more than greenbacks, but not all the way to vintage 30s, G12 65 greenbacks. If you want something, again, that's in between, but is closer to the V30s, with a lovely, lovely high mid-range and not quite so much bass response, G12 65s, which is what we call the Robin Ford speaker, because he likes them, and it's what was in a lot of JCM 800, or some JCM 800 cabs in the 80s, and became late 70s into the 80s, I want to say. They became the sound of rock for a minute as a nice alternative to the 75. So you've got that sort of spectrum. Most vintage greenbacks, step up from there 65 watt greenbacks with the medium magnet, step up from there G12 65s, step up from there V30s. Vintage 30s is going to be like the most. Don't worry about them being called 30, they're actually 60 watts, so you'll be fine. And obviously there's loads of other options, but that's the Celestian family. I would head there.
Yeah.
If you're playing at low volume, I'd go greenbacks every day of the week. You'll get the most character out of those speakers at lower volume.
Yeah, but they still sound great at high volume as well. But
Yeah.
I got a Celestian blue and a greenback that I use for recording at home. It's either blue or the greenback,
Yeah.
depending on the sound. But the greenbacks, I think, are fabulous.
And where are you? You're in the US, Scott. Obviously, Eminence does a whole range of British voice speakers as well. But I think, stick with the OG. We're just saying that because those are the ones we know the best. I'm sure there are other good aftermarket speakers that are similar to those. But hopefully that gives you a spectrum of what to think about. And if you choose to go Eminence instead of Celestian or whatever other brand, it does give you something to hang your hat on.
Yeah. The other thing I would say, though, once you've made your choice on speakers, don't expect to put them in and straight away go, oh my God, it's amazing. Speakers do sound better after they've been played. They've got to get to know the amp. They've got to get to know the relationship between that output transformer of the amplifier and the coils of the speaker. They need a bit of that time to wear in and get to know each other. And after that, but give it a couple of hours of
Bit of
love.
sensibly volumed 50 hertz for a while will help you along.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
AirFi, Ed, he
Hey,
said,
mate.
first time in years the MOT and service came back clear, so I'm sharing the love. Take one from the chat. It's always a relief, isn't it, Ed?
No, very good.
For anyone in the United States or anywhere else in the world who doesn't know what an MOT is, it's a yearly test that cars here have to have after they're 3 years old to make sure they're roadworthy.
Yes. Do you not have to do that in America?
I don't know. It's probably called something different, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah. Ministry of Transport, is that what it stands for? Motor...
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. Nice one, Ed.
Go on here. Braden Bueller says, volume pedal before or after drive pedals? Both are acceptable.
After for me.
And after for me. For the volume pedal before the overdrive pedals, I've got this, which does the thing. So with the volume pedal before, what it will do is it'll reduce the amount of signal going into your gain pedals, which will not necessarily make the pedals quieter, it will make them have less gain. But I actually much prefer doing it from the guitar, because then there's a different relationship between the pot and the capacitance of the cable. The capacitance of the cable comes after the pot, whereas the volume pedal, it's before it. So I much prefer the rolling back of the volume on the guitar. Volume pedal after gains means you have a master volume, so it won't change the gain structure. It just means that you can back it off a bit and then increase it a bit, without changing the fundamental gain structure of the way the pedals interact with each other. So yeah, for me, always after. You want to put it before, just use this.
Yep. And then what's quite nice is if you put it between, after your gain stages, before your wet effects, then you can vary it's kind of a master volume before your wet effects, which sounds completely too obvious to even say. But you can do swells and stuff into your wet
whale
effects, so that if you put the volume pedal after the wet effects, obviously when you turn it down, you lose all the tails of everything. Whereas if you have your volume pedal at full and you play and then you turn it to 0, the tails will still keep going through your wet effects. That's a lot of people do it like that. Landau does it like that.
Yeah, it's great.
So good. As part of your journey to give jam bands a chance, says Scott Eisman, you should check out Goose, lead guitarist Rick Mitarantonda. Rick Mitarantonda is a monster player and would be a terrific guest. They'll be in the UK in May. Okay, Goose. We'll check them out.
Awesome.
Thank you, Scott.
Did you see that, that Derek Trucks has been playing the
Just screen grab that.
Grateful Dead, the Alembic guitar owned by...
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, excuse me.
Do you want to go and get some water?
Yeah,
Daniel?
I do.
Owned by Jerry.
Well, it was sold at auction for like $14 million.
Yeah.
And I think a friend of Derek's bought it, and Derek's been playing it at gigs.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
G Barge. Dan's asthma is playing up, so he's coughing. G Barge, dear mates, new amp day, Magnatone Kingston, 12 watts with a 12-inch Twilighter speaker. Larry Krog consulted on it. We plugged an SG with P90 straight in with volume at 3 o'clock, and the tone was Tweed Twin-like. Fun. Congrats, G. A bit like Orange was until more recently. Magnatone is sadly absent from that pedal show. And we know how amazing they sound because we've heard a lot. So we'll have to put some effort in place to see if we can acquire one. They there's lots of amps that are kind of like something else and like something else. Magnatone is one of those ones that is just its own thing and is always its own thing. So we really should at least borrow one to get it on the show. So congrats, dude. That sounds amazing. Matt Herman. Wow. Matt says, I fly out Thursday morning to do a charity hike across the Sahara Desert for a baby's hospice. Good for you, bud. Would love some philosophy book recommendations to take. Okay. What ones have you already read would be my first question. Depends what you're into. I mean, you could always try the Iliad or what's his other book? What's Homer's other book?
Homer? Odyssey?
Yeah. Odyssey, there you go. You could always try some
Homer's
Homer.
Odyssey.
Other than that, I'll tell you two books that I've... one, a sort of vintage philosophy, i.e. Alfred Adler, crossed with psychology, and it's called Human Nature. But better still is a book called The Courage to be Disliked by a couple of Japanese dudes.
Yeah.
Which is a sort of retelling of the Adlerian philosophy. That's one. And another one is a book called 4,000 Weeks by Berkman, Oliver Berkman, I think it's by. And that is a shockingly arresting book, which will make your life better if you take it to heart. So those would be my two recommendations. I've just discovered something new.
Okay.
We had somebody, I'll do this as quick as I can. An Experience Day guest had mentioned to me logotherapy, which I'd never heard of before.
Logotherapy.
Yeah, logos.
Just do it.
Well, and Viktor Frankl is the guy, and you always learn more, don't you? So my knowledge to that point was I knew about Freud, father of psychotherapy, and everyone stands on Freud's shoulders, right? But times change, things change. Anyway, whatever. Everyone stands on Freud's shoulders. Alfred Adler, different view of things in a couple of key respects. And I thought I was sort of seeing them as, Republicans and Democrats or whatever, two sides of the same story, with the same goal in mind. But then Frankl comes in as this third voice, which I didn't know anything about, right? Because I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know.
He's the Master Raving Loony Party.
No, he's not.
He's the Pearly Queens.
And so it goes, they sort of argue that people have changed and times have changed and things have changed. So the things that we were bothered about ages ago, we're not so bothered about now and vice versa. Anyway, but a different approach. Logotherapy, Viktor Frankl. Why am I saying this? And what's quite interesting is that all the stuff before has had a psychological bent, right?
Yeah.
I.e., the making of the mind and what it's made of and how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Frankl introduced this term called noology. I think he came up with it. If he didn't come up with it, I'm sorry. But so you've got psychology and you've got noology. And noology, the only way I can try and explain it, and if you understand this better, please write it in the comments, is to use a computer as a kind of metaphor, if you like, because a computer is always a good metaphor for the brain. Psychology, how the computer is built and how it runs, and its hardware programming.
Okay.
Noology, software programming and UI, i.e. noology and Frankel's whole thing is concerned with man's search for meaning, which psychology doesn't think about, because psychology is all about chemicals, physiology, how the brain works, and its working. Noology is concerned with the problems we create for ourselves out of this search for meaning. And I was like, I kind of know all this because Eckhart Tolle talks about all this all the time, and so does Alfred Adler.
Have you heard the sound of one hand clapping?
It's more like this.
I love that.
I've offered an alternative narrative on your idea, Dan.
One hand clapping.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, so there you go. I can't remember what the book by Frankel is called. It might even be called Logotherapy. And it's it's mostly psychology, but it's partly philosophy as well. And it's arresting. Really good. Really thought-provoking.
Just like that.
Whew. There's also some great books on Stoicism and any sort of conglomeration of existentialism is a good read as well. There's a great read by an American professor who gives an overview of existentialism from like Albert Camus through to, I don't know, Sartre and beyond. So that's good as well. I forget what it's called, but it's probably even called existentialism.
Deja YouTube says, not to be confused with the unauthorized biography of Noel Gallagher, Noelology.
There you go. That's probably about as philosophical as you ever want to get. Anyway, right, sorry about that. Let's carry on. Good luck, Matt, for your hike across the Sahara Desert, and I hope you raise loads of money for your
That's
charity
amazing
too. Yeah.
Dude, who makes this bridge?
My German friend, Gerhard Schwarz.
It's unreal.
It's real.
Yeah, it is unreal in that it is so real.
He's the one that invested all the money in tooling and getting the right metals.
I probably tried half a dozen different bridges on this guitar, and it always came back to it was the original bridge always sounded so much better.
Yeah.
This is the only one that sounds as good, if not better, than the original bridge, but it actually intonates.
I hope you're watching this. Gerhard Schwarz of Schwarz Custom Guitars and St. Helens Hardware, which is what it is.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Gerhard. He's also made one for your Krautster.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
None of the other ones kept the snap in this guitar. It's all there.
Dennis Schmidtke. From Canada. He says, hey D&M, I'm running a small clone and a Strymon Cloudburst into one channel and a Dynacomp Deluxe into the second channel of my Black Star Sonnet 60. I'm sending a signal to monitors. Will it be in mono? Yes.
Yes.
Because it's going into 1 amp, and unless there's something about that amplifier that means the 2 channels come out of 2 separate speakers, which would be highly unusual, I would assume you're only miking 1 amp, 1 speaker, or you're taking a direct feed. Now, I don't know the Sonnet 60. I'm going to have to Google it to give you a correct answer here.
Is that a red knob?
Black Star.
Oh, okay.
Designed in conjunction with John Gomm, the unbelievable, I don't really want to call him an acoustic guitar player, but acoustic guitar player John Gomm. Amazing guitar player, John Gomm. So it's not dissimilar to something like an AER acoustic amplifier, and it's not stereo. It's 6.5-inch speaker and a tweeter, so you're only miking one thing. So when you switch between the channels or when you mix them, it's all coming out of the same thing. So yes, it's mono.
Yep.
I'm just going to double check the back panel that I'm not talking cobblers. Yeah, you've got a single DI out. Yeah, it is mono, yes. Wyatt Knox says, what few pedals would you pair with an R8 Les Paul and a Tweed style amp for blues rock? I'm finding the right fuzz in particular has been a challenge. Thanks for any suggestions. Fuzz is always a challenge with deluxes because they're fuzzy anyway, right?
They are.
If you turn them up.
Here's your R8 Les Paul. Great.
That one's been on tour with the Black Crows.
Listen to the stain. Stain on that one. I don't hear anything. But you would though, if it were plugged in.
If it were playing. You've seen enough of that one.
Have a cup of tea. Have a bite.
Have a bite. So I would say don't get a fuzz. Marcus Reeves is vehemently throwing things at the screen. It depends how you run the... If you run the... I'm just going to... Tweed style amp, you say. You don't say a deluxe, but Tweed style amp. If you're running it clean, yes, use a fuzz. If you're pushing it into overdrive, use a boost. Because it will get fuzzy. So I would say a boost is quite cool, or a treble booster.
Or you need a fuzz that's got a bottom end control on it. So either something like this. This is the Royal Tone, which is a British Audio Electronics, BAaudio.com. Fabulous. I've forgotten it twice already tonight.
What's the matter?
This fuzz circuit.
Tone bender.
The tone bender. Fabulous tone bender type thing. That's really cool. But the other one that I would say that you really need to, especially with Les Paul, you want to get to fuzz territory, the Color Sound Power Boost. Because when you get these levels up, you really do get into fuzz, and these are awesome.
Yeah, if you find one of those impossibly hard to come by, Teddy at TrueFi makes a really good one. And Dan's suggestion of this, I think, makes a lot of sense, right? Because you've got bass and treble EQ, so you can change everything. You've got everything from, like, if you get the 18-volt one, you've got insane level of boost, but you've also got super fuzzy goodness if you turn the master volume down and turn the volume up. Do make sure you get one with a master volume. So this is called a color driver, and it's a really good transistor type boost overdrive. Fuzz would work great with a Tweed amp.
I agree.
But that said, any transistor-based boosty thing would be great. The aforementioned Analog Man Beano boost would be fantastic.
Yep.
Again, we're suggesting American things because you're in America. After that, to taste. Delay pedals are quite hard with Tweed type amps because they tend to overdrive quick, so it can sound mushy quite quick. Same with reverb. Unless you're running it cleaner. If you're running the amp clean and getting your gain from pedals, then by all means go delay and reverb. But if you're cranking the amp, it's going to sound kind of clangy and crunchy if you use delay and reverb pedals. So maybe some kind of modulation. If you like,
or slapback delay.
Oh, there you go.
An analog slapback delay right at the front, and you will be in heaven, my friend.
There you go. That's right. Dan's right. So we're going to say a transistor type boost with plenty on tap, which will take you into fuzzy territory. We're going to say a slapback delay and a modulation of choice, if any at all. You might not really be into modulation sounds. But tremolo, I think, would fit.
Yeah.
So maybe get a tremolo that can do you a standard amplitude tremolo or a harmonic tremolo. Oh, just imagine it.
Oh,
was
yeah.
A really, really great pedal that could do that. Such
And
as
actually, that if
Jam Harmonious Monk. This is a Mark 1, but...
that if you bought that pedal, you'd be in the chance to win one of 8 more gold Tonekins that are making their way around the world.
I don't know if we've got any in stock, actually, but we did this with Jam pedals, and it remains my favourite modulation pedal of all time ever.
It's unreal. Someone asked me the other day how he came up with the name for it. I remember being out at that restaurant with Manilis.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That was one of the most joyous moments of my life. I'll never forget it. And I include having kids and all that stuff. That's, you know, being drunk in Athens with the Jam Boys. Don't tell my kids I said that.
Hope that helps, Wyatt. So boosty thing that can go into fuzz, slapback delay, and a tremolo.
Yeah.
There you go. And you're in a nice place there. And maybe a tape echo.
There you go.
Jason Hattrick. Jason Hattrick, how are you, bud? Oh, BV is telling us that John Gomm has had some unfortunateness.
Oh, no.
He's going through some difficult physio, apparently, because he had an op in his left elbow. Now held together by 2 titanium screws. Oh, well, sorry to hear that, John. You probably won't see this, but we're sending you the collective TPS love in the hope that your recuperation is as quick as it can be, buddy, and that physio gets you back into a good spot. Jason Hattrick. Hey, Jason. He says, good day all. I've had my first experience with a Novo in a 335, and I'm now considering selling some gear. Have you ever regretted parting with an instrument or amp? Mick, do you ever miss Blue?
You don't tend to miss gear, do you?
I just want to try and say this in the least wanky way possible.
Okay. Do you need some least wanky music?
Actually, it's really simple. It depends how attached you are to the thing emotionally. If you're attached to it emotionally, you will miss it. But if I'd got to a point with Blue where it was psychologically essential for me to get rid of that guitar. Not because there's anything wrong with the guitar, not because I didn't like it, not because of anything. It was a kind of a moment in time. My brain and my outlook on stuff has changed so fundamentally in the last 10 years that there are some lines in the sand, and Blue was one of them. And it was a really important thing that I kind of felt I had to do.
Oh, that's really interesting.
And so that's one of the reasons why I sold it. It wasn't just to get the money, right?
Honey.
And I think if you do anything just for the money, it's always going to be bad.
I concur, sir.
Always, because our purpose is not to pursue finances. Our purpose is to pursue a reason for being. There you go. Now it's got
reason
wanky.
for being is finances.
Now it's got wanky. Well, it never is.
Never is.
It never is. Well, go and read that book. Go and read Viktor Frankl's book, and it will lay this all out for you. Yeah. Do I miss stuff? No, I don't. It's like you make a decision and you move on, and that's just the way my brain works. But I think Dan feels differently about it.
It depends on the stories. They're attached to it. It's like Red, for me, there are so many moments, like Liv when she was 3 years old, walking up and putting that sticker on. it's a real moment and that's a part of this story I love. You know,
Yeah.
Dave Gregory finding me that junior. You know, there are other guitars that do things, but it's just I've got so much time and stories with these, so many stories with these guitars that it would be hard for me to
do it.
let them go. So it's not because they're absolutely incredible instruments. You know, I'm very fortunate that they are, but it's more that it's what they've meant as signposts in my life and certain things, you know, like this guitar that I'm holding. I was searching for a Les Paul for years and I just found them all too dark. And our friend Paul Stacey said he was selling some Les Pauls. So I went down to his studio and he had 4 or 5 Les Pauls and I played them all and I was like, yeah, no, you know. And then I saw this guitar was in a corner. I said, what about that one? He goes, oh yeah, I'm not sure about selling that one. And I picked it up and it just had all the top-ended chime that I love, and not compared to Mick's Gold Top, but at the time this was like such a chimey guitar. And then I persuaded him to let me buy it. And yeah,
I got a couple stories like that, like my acoustic guitar, my Collings that Catherine bought for me, and we went to Austin, Texas, and we had a tour of the Collings factory, and I picked it from one of 3, and it was like, you know, that was I will allow myself the psychological time of that guitar.
there you go.
Because it's about Catherine. But guitars that I've sort of chosen and bought and done, the psychological change that I was referring to is that 2 or 3 years ago I stopped, or at least I became aware of psychological time and all that stuff like memories and all that, and worrying about the future is all psychological time, and the only moment that exists is right now. So that's why I don't worry about it, because it's like the only thing that matters is right now. And the only thing that matters is the guitars you have now and using them, and not wasting any of your time worrying about what you don't have, what you might have in the future. Now, it's all very well saying that, right? Because sometimes it's much harder to do than it is to have the theory of it. But that's how I live, and or at least that's how I live whenever I'm present enough to do it. And so that's why I don't go in for the. But like you say, there is exceptions, and I couldn't part with my Collings. I couldn't.
No,
there's no way I could. So maybe there's some yin and yang in there. Anyway, less of that. Jason, if you like those guitars and they're pulling something out of you now, if you're selling your guitar that your parents gave you that you're sort of umbilically joined to, then don't sell it. But if you've got a guitar sat there that you've never really loved, you bought it because you felt good about it at the time and you never really play it, and every time you pick it up you're like, I don't know about this guitar. Sell it. Get it out of your life. That would be my advice. Anyway.
Yeah, agreed.
HR. Following up from last week and my bad first performance, I took everyone's advice in JFDI and started practicing where I could improve. My teacher pointed out I only had 4 days to practice. I now can't wait to perform again.
Fabulous.
That's all. That's everything I just said about this is the only moment you have. Rather than worrying about the past or the future, what have you done? You've gone, this is the moment I've got. What am I going to do? I'm going to practice. And guess what? Practice makes better.
It does.
Doesn't it?
Yep, it absolutely does.
Similar, it wasn't a performance. We had an all-day rehearsal on Sunday, and I came away from it feeling so down because my playing is just shit. And I just had to have a word with myself and go, yeah, it was. So practice.
Right.
And I came back in here on Sunday and played, and my playing was better.
There you go.
So practice. put the hours in, right?
Yeah.
Big surprise, isn't it? Big surprise. Good for you though. Glad you're feeling better about it. Brian Broken Oars podcast. Hey M&D and all at TPS Towers. I enjoyed the Steve Rothery episode. It's homework night. Ah, yes, you're doing homework, aren't you? So take one from the chat. Keep up the good work all.
Thanks,
okay.
mate.
You normally tell us what you're revising. I think it was geography, wasn't it, last week? With your daughter, is that right? Because that's all happening, isn't it? Whether it's end of year exams or GCSEs or A levels or other things.
Yeah, Liv
This is the season.
Liv comes back in a couple of weeks for a week. Then she goes back for a couple of weeks, and then she's done.
That's her final term.
That's it. It's crazy.
Dan's daughter went to university like last week, and now she's done 3 years.
Yeah. So I got it. This is Nick Lask says, "What is your favorite SG color? Any from the current production roster?" I gotta say that I think those Pelham Blue SGs just look astonishing. I kind of got a little bit when our mate had one on his channel, Rick Beato.
We had one in here, do you remember?
We had one in here, and then he had one on his channel, which he bought and sort of became his SG thing. And then Tim Pierce played it. It was like, oh, this is the best SG ever. And it's really hard to go past an original Cherry. The problem with the old Cherry guitars is that once the nitro starts going off, that Cherry goes to brown. And that is my least favourite colour. The faded Cherry into brown, I just think looks awful. I've got to say the Pelham Blue, though, from the current lineup, I think is...
Well, remember that some of them were brown.
Oh, were they?
Some of them were walnut, which might be what you're thinking of.
Ah, okay.
The faded cherry ones tend to go lighter.
Yeah, okay. Right, right.
You might be thinking of
a walnut
actual
brown.
walnut
Right.
ones. I mean,
so I'm not into the brand.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when they fade, they tend to go quite light. But I agree with Dan, Pelham Blue. Now, the problem with Pelham Blue is how green do you want it?
Yes.
Because obviously, it's a metallic blue colour, which is finished with a nitro top coat. And then what happens to the nitro is as it gets UV reacted, it goes yellow. Blue and yellow equals green. That's why same with Fenders, some Lake Placid Blue Strats are really green, and why some of those Pelham Blue Gibsons are really, really green.
Yeah.
And why they're like blue on the back but green on the front. And
lots of people saying the TV yellow SGs.
It's cool.
That would be very cool.
TV yellow Les Paul Junior for me. But
Yeah. That's the classic.
yeah.
And I think it was you that was telling me that the reason they called it TV yellow. Do you know about this?
I've heard it said that it's because they look good on TV. They showed up
Because
on TV.
they made them look white.
Right.
And and if there are colour pictures of actors on television, and they had like the colours they used to make their faces up were insane. So I think that was the thing with the TV yellows. They looked bright and colourful, like you could tell they were bright. Yeah. But I love the Pelham Blue, but a really good Cherry SG is always going to be rock and roll.
Yeah, Eagle Ray Rob quite rightly points out it's easy to mistake Inverness green for faded Pelham Blue, but they are different. Yes, indeed. One of the best ones I've ever played was Inverness green.
Really?
It was actually Inverness green, yeah. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Seth Rowe, this is a fantastic question, Seth. What is the perfect size venue for Guitar Tone?
Oh.
If that is confusing for you as a question, right, consider this. In a small room, you're going to be hearing the amp from the stage. If everything is right in the world, you're going to be hearing the amp from the stage mixed with front of house. As the venue gets bigger and you're stood further away, you're going to hear from the stage less and front of house more.
Mm-hmm.
So it does depend where you're standing.
Yeah, right. Oh, look at this. Someone just sent me this.
The
TV
gold. Yeah. Is that from David Burke?
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
I knew that was from you, David. What do you think? Venue size, guitar tone?
Between 800 and 1200. My best tone, I used to go 2 venues. There was Shepherd's Bush, 3 venues. Walkabout Shepherd's Bush, Walkabout at Temple, and the Walkabout at Watford. And they're all between 500, 800. Shepherd's Bush was 1200. Yeah. But enough to get some, a goodly amount of people in there, soaking up some goodly amount of vibes. And it's very important to have, very lively stage, but then enough wallop from the front of house to go, whoa.
Jake Morin has said it depends on the engineer, and I agree.
Yes, I agree.
Robert Payne says it depends if it's an electric or acoustic guitar. I think we're assuming electric, Robert, just for the purposes of this discussion. And Dustin Thiessen, who has done his fair share of front of house, says it's less to do with size and more to do with the acoustics of the venue. And yeah, I would agree. For me, I really want to hear some guitar off the stage. I really want to hear the amps. But again, it's probably also music dependent. We saw Bill Frisell the other night, a few weeks ago, and it was just a majestic sound, and there was no way we were hearing any of Bill off the stage because his amp was so quiet. Actually, he did have it at 4.5. He had our deluxe reverb at 4.5, so we might have been hearing a little bit of it. But the front of house sound was so good. It's beautiful. So good that it didn't matter. The sound of the ensemble was great. So yeah, I don't know. I think just a final thought on that, or final thought for me anyway, it's about feel.
Yeah.
Like in some venues, the Dustin, you may relate to this. The engineer who is called, I might remember her name in a minute. She's been working with Bill for years and years and years. She literally walked into the venue just as we were finishing our thing with Bill. She walks onto the stage. She looked at the bass cab and said,
Get that off.
Get that off the stage, because it was a big wooden stage. And she said, turn the subs off. And then she got an SM58 or some vocal mic, and she went whoop, all the way. And then she picked out some key frequencies, and she's like, turn the subs off, do this, do that, and the other. She just knew the room instantly.
She was amazing.
Because she's worked with Bill for so long. She knows what's required. And the reason I mention that is because there's so many gigs I go to now where they hit the kick drum and it wants to tear your guts out, and it's like, that's too much.
Yeah.
Don't need that. And then when the band starts, it's like, don't want that. I want to feel it. I want to feel it in the chest, and I want to feel the sub a little bit, but I don't want it to be all that all night. So exactly what everyone's saying. Engineer, room acoustics, music type. Unless it's Sun O, which is that's the only thing you want to hear. Yeah. I do like small venues.
Yeah.
I like small venues. Hey D&M, I bought a small clone. This is a question for Daniel. Oh God, we are going to have to hurry up. I bought a small clone, says Derek Cullen, but it pops when I turn on. It's first in loop before DD3 in a Hall of Fame. Any fix? Our band is the Flaming Mongrels. Please say the Flaming Mongrels, Dan.
Flaming Mongrels.
Was it Alf who used to say that on Home and Away? You Flaming Mongrels.
Flaming Galah.
Yeah, you Galah. That was it. You Flaming Galah.
Flaming Galah. Flaming Mongrels. So you've got it in a loop. You've got it in a loop and it pops.
Well, I think he means effects loop here.
Right.
There's amp effects loop.
So,
I'm going to guess because he says It's the first in loop before a DD3 and a Hall of Fame.
Okay, if you've got it in your amp's effects loop, it needs to go into the front of the amplifier. There's too much signal, so that's an analog chorus pedal.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Please don't put it in the loop.
Yeah, please don't put it in the loop. Put it in front. There's too much signal. Too much. It's not designed. It's designed for instrument level. Instrument into that, out of that, into the front of the amplifier. Then your DD3 and your Hall of Fame in the loop of the amplifier will be great. But yeah, take it out of the loop, put it in front, and it'll sound superb.
It pops because it's DC, right?
Well, so there's a number of reasons that pedals pop. One is DC offset, which means that if the output capacitor, the filter cap, isn't catching everything, you get a DC ripple, and that...
My favourite ice cream.
DC ripple, yeah. And so basically, it when you turn it on or turn it off, you just get a different ground reference, and then so the pop is the jump up in voltage, and it sees it as an AC ripple, and that's what gives you the pop. The other things that can cause a pop is that if the pedal is out of phase and you've got it in a true bypass thing, and what happens is, if you imagine you've got your signal going like this,
yes.
if the signal's going through 0 volts and turn it on at that exact moment, you don't get a pop. But if you're at 1 volt and then you turn it on and the phase drops down to -1 volt, you get this 2 volt shift. And now that's a huge shift. It would never be that. But so sometimes just the fact that a pedal can be out of phase, you can get a pop from that. It can pop if you've got a digital pedal. The latency, that gap that you get if you've got it in a true bypass loop, you can perceive that as a pop when you turn it on. So a number of different things, but the most common one is that the filter cap isn't doing a great job on the output, and it's leaking some DC through. So there are little pop filters that you can get that have got a capacitor and a resistor network that you can stick on the end that can clean things up.
Or we'll live with the pop, but please take it out of the loop and put it in the front of the
Yes.
amp. You'll like it more. We
Yes,
promise. We
indeed.
promise. Patrick Pierce. Hey Patrick, he says toes of tone. I'm looking for an amp to do pub gigs with me and another guitar. Unfortunately, an AC15 gets too loud.
Wow.
I'm eyeing a Sweetwater Modshop Princeton or a Fender Excelsior with a 15. What are your thoughts? I thought the AC15 had a master volume. Can't you just turn it down?
And
rather than having to have a new amp?
And it's a good master volume too.
Yeah, they sound... We think... we've got the modern AC15 C1, whatever it is, with a greenback, and that amp sounds great
It's
at
incredible.
low volumes.
Yes, incredible.
So my first advice would be to stick with it, just turn it down a bit. A Princeton is going to be... Our Princeton is louder than the
AC15. No question.
Well, louder
But
than the AC15 with a greenback.
Yeah, arguably though, the Princeton would be more consistent across its volume range. The AC15, when you turn it up to that sweet point, it's like, it's amazing. However, I would say that the master volume on the AC15, I think, is really, really good.
And you have got a master volume, whereas on the Princeton, there's no master volume. No. Unless you've got an old AC15, which doesn't have a master volume, of course, and we could see why that's a problem. The Excelsior, it's been a while since I played an Excelsior. I can remember liking it a great deal. It was like a pawn shop thing, wasn't it? They called it first. Now, the 15-inch speaker, single output tube maybe? Really funky thing. No clean, no clean headroom if you need that. So, yeah, definitely not our area of expertise. Quieter than an AC15. I mean, I guess there's an AC4 or an AC10. If you like the Vox sound.
Yeah. The other thing, the AC15 has a 12-inch speaker, whereas the Princeton has a 10.
Yeah.
Not that that's a problem, because they sound great at 10s, but that's just another thing to consider.
I want to know, Patrick, if your AC15 has a master volume, because
Yeah.
if it does, I would honestly just use that. But
Yeah. Thank you, BV. Claudia Engelhardt is Bill's tour manager and sound engineer.
Claudia, yes. Thank you, BV.
Thank you, BV.
Joshua Schwartz. Hey, Joshua. Good to hear from you as always, buddy. He says, in a hot climate, New Orleans, how important is it to prioritise germanium fuzz transistor that are more stable if one can specify a type on a custom order, or worry less and go by sound and cleanup? If it's analog, man, don't worry. Is that right, Dan?
That's right. He's done all the work for you. I would say, though...
My favourite fuzz pedal is this. My Dan Drive Optimus machine, full of amazing bits. I love the sound of it, but the minute it goes over about 22 degrees, it's like...
Remember the thing we did with the hairdryer?
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. And I daren't put it on my board. So it is important, but I mean, if it... I'm just assuming that it is analog, man, because that's where you get the most choice for speccing things. Check with Mike if it is analog, man, and he'll advise you. But yeah, it's really important. I think some of those mil-spec Gs are pretty temperature.
Yeah, pretty more stable.
Yeah, and also think about the Benson fuzz. This was amazing. This has got a circuit in it that stops it from overheating.
Yeah.
Keeps it at the right temperature.
That's so clever.
Really, really cool. Benson germanium fuzz. Marcus Reeves is in the chat. He may well offer some sage advice, or just go with the silicon one.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're wedded to the idea of some nice sounding GEs, then yeah, it is important, especially in New Orleans, I would have thought. HR, a big thank you to you and the TPS audience and community for your help and advice.
You're welcome, mate.
Nice one, HR. Yes, again, different name here than in the other comment section. So apologies for calling you HR if your screen name is something different. Patch O'Toole. I always... Do you remember Spitting Image? There was a gag with Peter O'Toole where he wakes up and he goes, "Last night I was Peter O'Toole, now I'm Peter No-Toole."
Oh, that's really good.
I think it was Spitting Image.
That's really good.
Anyway, Patch O'Toole. Hello, Patch. He says, gents, having played a Strat for 40 years, I'm getting an SG for my 60th.
Yeah, you are.
Congrats on both. I know I'll be confused by the Gibson neck markings. Yes, you will. After all those years of Fender dots, but how do you find it? Thanks for everything. I think the SG is the most sensible
Yeah, I agree.
Gibson guitar to get if you've been playing Fenders.
Yep. It's what is it? Mick calls it a telepool,
Yeah.
and there's something about that. So the body of an SG is sort of similar in width, might even be a bit narrower,
It's a
but
bit
it's not like the
it's
Les
contoured
Paul.
and it's double cutaway
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
start, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that makes it a little bit closer to a Strat, unlike a 335 or a Les Paul, which is completely different. Now, if you're going for an SG standard type, which has got the Gibson, the block markers, crown markers, they're in the same place as they are on a Strat, but because of where the guitar sits physically,
Yeah.
it's 2 frets that way. Isn't it? So I'm like going to play an A and I'm playing in B. Do you ever find that? I guess you're so used to it now.
Yeah.
Actually, tellies sit that way a bit as well, don't they?
They do.
Whereas Strats and Les Pauls sit back a bit, this way a bit.
Yeah, so it's less of a reach for me. But yeah, there's something about the snap and immediacy of an SG that sits between a Les Paul and a Fender.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
If
Like that, there's no way you could say that sounds like a Les Paul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though it is a Les
Even though it
Paul.
is pushing. Yeah.
But there's...
Yeah, transitioning to a Leicester or a 335 I think is harder than
Yeah,
an SG.
agreed.
You might disagree. The other thing we would just say that is if you use a nylon strap, you know, like a, I don't know, Diodario or a
Yeah. Standard one.
Ernie Ball or whatever, just be aware that they're super slippy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the SG will have some tendency to neck dive just because the neck's further out that way.
Mm-hmm.
So get yourself a leather strap and get it a bit wider, like a 3-inch leather strap, and that'll just grip your clothing if it's got suede on the underside. So you just do away with all that slipping rubbish. Good luck, Patch, and happy birthday.
Yeah, mate. Happy birthday.
And Plexico, Duncan is last in. He says, here's money for great content. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, bud. We appreciate it. We massively appreciate it. To Duncan and to everybody tonight, thanks so much for being here. Lots of people giving love for SGs and talking about dot markers. MW Adam says, I always feel very confused when I pick up a Strat after 40 years of Les Paul. Yeah, of course, of course. Disorientating. I've got to say, rehearsal on Saturday, best sounding guitar all day was the Leicester. I'm playing all those four. The Les Paul, the Flying V,
Oh, amazing.
the 345 and the Strat, just to see what's working.
Yeah.
Leicester's just was killer.
Awesome.
It was killer. Anyway, right. Simon V, safe drives home, everybody. He says, what's on Friday? It is hopefully going to be Madison Cunningham, assuming we don't get hit for any copyright, because she does play a few parts from songs, so we'll see how good YouTube is at picking that up. So yeah, hopefully Madison Cunningham. If it's not Madison Cunningham, it will be Marcus Reeves for a Fuzz Summit. Yeah, good. Thank you for being with us, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
As always, we'll see you Friday and again next Monday. Play us out, Dan. D minor. Look, built a guitar stand.